Rocky, good morning to
Hi,
you. How are you
morning.
doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks.
Thank you for spending some time with me this morning. I thought this would be a good opportunity just to really talk about what you do at Emerging Communications and what you bring to clients, so that when we are recruiting our team members, we can actually show a face and bring a bit of personality to Emerging Communications. So firstly, what's your name, your full Chinese name?
Well, Rocky, but my Chinese name it's actually Roy Chi,
Ah, fantastic. And where are you originally from?
Beijing. I'm a local Beijinger and spent 25 years in Beijing.
And how long have you been in the UK?
Nearly 6 years.
And have you got any plans on going back to China, or is this your new home, do you think?
I think I'm gonna settle down here. I'm settling down here.
I understand you bought an apartment as well in London, is that right?
Yeah, that was before everything happened. I think last November. Yeah.
So that's really exciting. So when do you think you'll move in?
It really depends whether the construction is gonna be delayed by this
Um,
whole thing. But I received a kind of a e-newsletter saying that we're making progress. We're digging. We've been digging a 20-meter kind of like the base. So I think it will be completed in 2 years.
that's really exciting. So Rocky, what do you do in Emerging Communications? What's your job role?
I'm head of consultancy and planning team, and also responsible for innovation and R&D within the organization.
So give me some examples of some sorts of brands that you've helped in the past and what you might do to help brands to achieve better results within China mainland with China consumers.
Well, my previous experience spent to every single sector or industry you can probably think of. Some of them are really, really niche, B2B or medical service, professional financial service, and some of them like just retail luxury brands, property, universities, and a lot of different sectors. But there's one thing in common, like there's no way to copy the market success you've done in any other country. People think China is just another global market. It is definitely not. It's the global frontier. It's what we call China innovation. And something like, the local players have done in China, a lot of brands in here could never ever imagine. They've never heard of those kind of like marketing innovation. So it's really important to kind of like bring my clients up to speed, to firstly make them understand, it's not gonna be, you can't just set up everything and sit back and relax and think you're gonna nail China. It requires a lot of strategic planning, a lot of proper market research. We've seen brands, I mean, Pret a Manger, we've seen other retail brands, Mark and Spencer's, Tesco, they all failed in China in recent years, despite of the, continuous growing consumption power, but still British brands tend to fail in China.
Why do you think that is? We're talking about very well established brands here that have failed in China, even in the last 2 years. Obviously, we're also seeing quite a lot of retail chains doing the same, especially under the additional pressure of COVID and everything on lockdown here in the UK. But if you were to give me 3 things that you think are preventing brands from being successful in China, and you obviously cover many sectors, education, B2B and retail. So what do you think those 3 things are? The spot there, Rocky, sorry about that.
I think, first of all, their mindset is still in 10 years or maybe 15 years ago, thinking, being a Western brand, being a British brand, they got those natural attraction, or, I'm a Western brand. I have, more than 50 years of brand history, heritage. We are way more better positioning than any other American brands or local Chinese brands. So customers will, fall for me, like, naturally. they think they got those sort of advantage thing, but it's completely different now. 15 years ago, when I was a teenager, that was the case.
Yeah.
Now it's like if you, as I mentioned, like no matter which sector it is, like those local brands, local Chinese brands, also the new generation of Chinese, they are not like, they don't have a particular preference on Western brands. They're proud of how, innovative and successful the local Chinese brands are. So it's almost the opposite story now. So I think, and to answer your question, the first point is I wouldn't say arrogant. I would say like,
I would.
it's a very, yeah. Another thing would be, I think they focus on the kind of like technical deployment. Whether, they set up the infrastructure and they think that would work, but they forgot, it's just really basic. Like they think it's marketing, just translating contents. It's marketing, just localization. It's marketing. I often told my client that you are, talking to the most loyal consumers in the world. Like Chinese consumers or business decision maker, they're spoiled by the technology. They're spoiled by how fast the service provider and product providers, how fast the other brands are adapting to their ever-changing behavior. So they're so spoiled. And if you're not, keeping up with them, it's not gonna work. Like, for example, and also it resulted in lack of segmentation, positioning strategy. That's how Marks and Spencer felt. It's very interesting. Like, as a Chinese consumer, even though I've been living in here for kind of like more than 5 years, but still, when I remember the last time I went to Shanghai when MIS were still there, it's very confusing for Chinese consumers, because those who are gonna purchase those high-end premium food court, they are 25, 30-year-old, and then you place like what we call like nanny's closet, like they're not nanny, sorry, nana's closet, like their clothing line is targeting like 50, 60. It doesn't match. It's the case in here, but it's not the case in China, especially in Shanghai. So people got confused by the positions, thinking, who are Marks and Spencer are actually trying to target in China? Like, why there's like imbalance in between their different offers? So it's just a typical case of a British brand thinking they can just localize everything and copy the segmentation or the market research they've done in here, the experience, they learned in UK or any other Western market, can just do it in China and roll it out. Apparently, it won't work.
So if that's the case, what's the simple solution to that? Planning, strat planning, getting together as a team at the board level so that you integrate ops, sales, marketing, finance. If you were to give me one solution, what would that be?
Strategic planning, and I think it's really dry if I'm giving strategic structure in here. So I'm going to use another example, which is the opposite way of how Marks and Spencer conducted in China. It's the kind of the cheap supermarket chain, Aldi. I hope I pronounce it right?
Aldi, that's correct.
Yeah,
yes.
Aldi tested the water out in China from purely online operation without rushing there and open a huge offline store. And they tested the water and they positioned them. They gave themselves a very unique positioning, unlike any other market they're in. They positioned themselves as a premium brand.
Yeah.
With authentic imported food, wine, and high quality. So they teach out some of their kind of like product line, and they completely reposition themselves And then they test the water out first, and then open an offline store. It was the most, I believe one of our Shanghai team member had done a mystery shopping in Audi flagship store in Shanghai. It was really, really tech driven. Basically, you know, QR code all over the place. If you scan the QR code about in the food court or a fine wine, it gives you in-depth information about this product and how to use it, what to dine with. So one pairing and everything is done online. So you don't go to the checkout counter. You just scan the QR code, and you know, basically the checking out process can be done along with your shopping. You don't have to wait till the last minute. You grab one, you scan one, and then your job's done. So
it's very, very interesting pivot to a new market. I have to say, when I was last in the Aldi store in Shanghai, it's much more positioned to a Waitrose offering. I'd even go and say that it's actually even a step higher than that in terms of positioning. Everything was checked out on my WeChat account. It's totally seamless. There's also, it's what I call honesty shopping. So you don't even need to go to the till. You just literally, it's a bit like scanning it yourself, but you just put it straight to your WeChat or your Alipay account, and you're out of there. Yeah. Really, really clever. But they did their market research, didn't they? They got to know the consumers. They tested the market before they went into bricks and mortar. And I'm just alarmed really at how many brands think that you can just get away with it by just going straight into bricks and mortar. Marks and Spencer's did it. They tried to sell underwear next to food, which you would never do culturally, and they launched it initially in Hong Kong. That was a disaster. Tesco's have failed. Pret a Manger, I actually went to Pret, one of the Prets in Shanghai, and had an avocado sandwich, which was off. And when I spoke to the guy, he said, well, we don't know what to do. We wouldn't eat that in China. So we didn't know that we shouldn't use it when it's kind of gone that funny color. Now, that's only a very silly example, but who were they aiming at? Were they aiming at expats? Were they aiming at Chinese nationals? Because they didn't get it. They did not localize their offering at all, did they?
Pret a Manger thought they could compete with Starbucks. So they're in their Shanghai stores, they picked the same location, direct competing with Starbucks in the CBD area, which won't work because, you know, the kind of like, they tried to kind of like cut through with a healthier, you know, and more organic way of eating for those 996 very, very, very stressed for young professionals. But like you mentioned, like they didn't really localize their offer, and the menu they got, like you will understand it, like you will appreciate it if you are a returnee, if you have ever, you know, study or living in the UK before. To be honest, those are their core customer they shall start with. Definitely not those, you know, professionals working their ass off in CBD. It's totally different.
Well, look, Rocky, you've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. So I understand you do training, you do vlogs, you do webinars while we're in the middle of lockdown. And so if you've got any brands that want to have a better idea about how to do it right, how would they reach out to you? Yeah,
I think LinkedIn would be the best place.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Domenica.